All right. Wait, no, that's not good. There we go. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or whatever time you're listening to us. Welcome to another episode of the Down in the Valley podcast. My name is Edson Ochoa, and yeah, what a terrible week it has been since the last time we have been live on this show. Um, Terrible loss against San Diego. A very uneventful 0-0 duelo de relleno against San Antonio FC. But even though we've got a lot to talk about the Toros, but before we bring on our guest for today, I do want to remind you, if you guys like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, share it with all of your friends, let them know about the Down in the Valley podcast and the community we're trying to build in talking about the RGV FC Toros of the USL Championship. Obviously, as well, be sure to subscribe to us on our Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Down in the RGV, as well as on Facebook at Down in the RGV. And of course, if you guys are listening from any or watching from any of those two platforms, we also have the YouTube channel where you can also subscribe at Down in the RGV. Follow us on all our social media on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and not threads for the Down in the Valley one. To Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and TikTok at Down in the RGV. And unfortunately, Jacob wasn't able to make it today. He's been out with COVID. So we wish him a very quick recovery. I'm telling you, it's not fun. I had it 2 weeks ago. So I wish him the quickest and the fullest of recoveries to our co host, Jacob Young. But in his place, just like last week, we have somebody that is a dear friend of the podcast, that is one of the more consistent and very dedicated journalists covering not only the RGVC Toros, but also local sports here in general, whether it's professional or UTRGV. Let's give a huge and warm welcome to Ray Silva of South Texas Border Sports. Ray, how are you doing?
Hey, good evening, Edson. Thanks for the warm welcome. I'm glad to be here, Jacob. Get better, buddy. I'll just be keeping the seat warm for you. Just looking at the chats here in the back end, I'm already seeing plenty of banter going on. Yeah, Harry, it's okay for you guys to be champions and whatnot, but no, I'm just glad that there was a winner.
Um, I'm reading the chat as well. Like you're saying, the banter. I want to give obviously a huge welcome to Harry in the chat. We've got Joe Grandson, Costless Titan, and Abraham Moreno. And I got this comment from Abraham is interesting. He says, "Funny how SAFC is the best, but tied to a lower ranking team in the Western Division."
And not only that, I'll just compliment Abraham there real quick. Not only does SAFC get stymied by Lily Ball and Monterey Bay at their house. Just
Yeah,
tossing that out there.
yeah, I expected more out of San Antonio, but we'll talk a little bit more about about their dedication. But um, before we go on, Ray, I just want to congratulate you for the opportunity that you had yesterday to be the commentator in the South Texas Derby, taking the place of Ryan Smith on the official ESPN broadcast alongside Mark May. I was listening. Jonathan Check and I were listening to it while the game was on, and we were at the press box. And I got to tell you, Ray, you did a hell of a great job. Doing the commentary. So I got to commend you for that, and congratulations on the fact that all this hard work that you've done covering this team is really starting to pay off, and people are starting to notice your work.
Um, I'm not gonna lie. I've been in this industry for a little while now. I've been always test. I'm always curious to test the waters of what that feels like to prepare for something like this. I had like about less than 48 hours to prepare for it. and taking over Brian Smith, who I want to send a special shout to, Mark May as well as and the Toros organization and the person who recommended me, who I publicly stated on my Facebook page. I mean, those people have seen me work thick and thin through all aspects of sports, and it's just I just feel like it was a one-off reward, and if it leads to something bigger, great. But I'm not gonna stop what I'm doing. My show continues in the best way possible, in the best professionally way possible, to kind of help my teams here in the valley and try to really give them the spotlight they deserve.
So I'm seeing a commentary here, or the comment here from Costley says, "Ray, you were amazing in the booth. I rewatched the game and thoroughly enjoyed your commentary." And then he also adds for Ray, "Tranquilo or tequila joke had me dying."
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, Mark May kind of had his Spanish was right there, and I kind of had to like throw that little curveball change up in there to just kind of like throw him off a little bit. He's all like tranquilo, and then I'm all like tequila, because there was a tequila ad somewhere along the way that was shown, and I just decided to roll with that at the time.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, it was pretty fun. But tell us just a little bit, like, of what was the experience like for you to be at the on the booth, giving your opinion, your commentary on the game.
Yeah, you know what? It was fun because to be really honest, I mean, working the South Texas Derbies are really really fun. I've worked them in the capacity where when the team was playing at UTRGV, I got to be the scoreboard operator, and then when they moved to the practice fields at HEB Park, got to be scoreboard operator, even a sideline spotter for stat substitutions and whatnot, and that and then to be called up into the broadcast because I'm usually there covering all of the Toros games at home, and and I guess the organization was in a bit of a bind to look for a color commentator, and my good friend Danny Elizondo, who I've worked with for over a decade, whether it be Edinburgh Roadrunners baseball or UTRGV, he threw my hat into the ringer, and I just got the call, and that to me was kind of a special moment because I'm talking about a person who I've known for over a decade now. Danny is amongst one of the more professional persons I've come across, and for me to just have less than 48 hours to prepare for one of the more special matches that the USL has to offer, uh, it was kind of a blessing, and there was like uh, a lot of insights where I had to talk to producers and programmers and directors, just giving me my hints here and there. Whereas I could come in and talk about the players of the game, players, the keys to the game as well, and try to keep the audience entertained while the game is going on.
Yeah, and honestly, like I said, I it's a huge responsibility to not only be considered for the job, even if it's a one off as of this moment, you know. But it's a huge responsibility to prepare for it. It's a huge responsibility to be behind that mic, uh, and not only that, just it's the official broadcast. And considering the amount, of criticism that has begotten the broadcast this season, obviously a lot of it has been, with reason, and I've mentioned it here on the podcast myself on some of the things that I've, kind of not liked about our broadcasts. But considering that responsibility and the fact that now you're open to criticism, the fact that you felt so comfortable, doing it, or at least that was what you projected on the broadcast. Not everybody can do that. So like I said, I commend you for being able to get on that microphone and representing South Texas Border Sports the way that you did on ESPN Plus.
Um, you know, like I said, I mean, I'm a person that likes to be. I like to test the waters, and for me, I like I said, I enjoyed my stay there with Mark, who's the utmost professional guy. He's he's known to be one of the better PR people that you can come across. I mean, I've read his stuff as a child. He's done a lot of work to get just outside the valley, here in the valley. And Mark May is just one of those professionals, and I have to thank the staff at HEB Park and the RGV FC Toros for just allowing me to just at least be in those shoes as a one off. I mean, even if it's just a one off, I mean, it's something that I will take with me for the rest of my life, and keep the memories there with me. And and it was a special occasion. I mean, I didn't leave with the loss, I didn't leave with the win, but for me, it was something that I hope to have entertained the crowd just that much more. It, but I'm not trying to be better than anyone else. Each person has its merits of being there, and that for me is just, I hope, enough to where if I can open more doors and windows along the way, that's just something that I can. Uh, if I can bring that to the table, great. I mean, to me, it's just it was the moment, and I enjoyed that moment. I mean, believe me, it's been fun for me.
Kosla says, nah, ESPN better give Ray the bag. No one
So,
off. He needs to stay.
sorry, costless. ESPN doesn't decide that. You see, that's where you're just a little bit off on the information. That usually broadcasts are either decided by the club, or when the club can't handle that, the club will end up paying the league to provide some sort of a commentary. But that's just to give you a little bit of an insight that it's either club responsibility, it's club's responsibility to either A, pay a due, or B, pay someone. That's just an insider thing that not everyone knows about. And yes, costless Titan, you're probably all right. You are cursed, and I'm just thankful you're not a member of the media. Otherwise, your body would have already flown out the window.
But yeah, like honestly, you mentioned something about entertaining, but I think it's not only about entertaining. And I think one of the things that you brought to the table is you informed the fans. You informed the fans about how San Antonio plays, how RGV plays, a little bit about some of these players. There were a couple of times during the broadcast where you were talking about, well, San Antonio usually does this, this, and this, and this, and then the play right after they do exactly what you mentioned a couple of seconds before. So that's good. That's good commentary, right there. So take this experience. Don't tell me my dream can't come true. Costless says. Well, you never know, man. You never know. This could be the catalyst that can give him give him a job. Maybe not with the Toros, but maybe with any other team. That decides. You never know what the future holds. But I think he left a really good impression, honestly. So hashtag rate in the on social media. Okay, so everybody spam hashtag Ray on Twitter and tag RGVFC if you guys want Ray to be on the broadcast. But no, but on all seriousness,
Let me just stop you right there. You want the lanyard? Okay. Uh, the lanyard of specifically what, the Toros? I mean, those are available in the pro shop. I mean, come on, man. Come on, Cost. Let's be more specific.
So, hey, how's it going, Mike? So, we're going to be talking about Copa Tejas in a little bit. Just wait on it a couple of minutes.
Yeah, just
Uh
give us this first stanza for whatever we're going to talk about first, and then we'll ease into Copa Tejas.
okay. So, real quick, let's kind of recap the two games that we've had so far since we've last been live. So, obviously on Saturday, RGV FC played against San Diego Loyal.
For the last
Um
time ever.
correct. We talked about last week how when RGV played San Diego at Torero Field, RGVFC got a 3-2 victory, looked like the better team. That last goal by San Diego should not have been, was kind of, I feel like, kind of risky. It should not have been called. Not much because that it was not a foul, but it should not have been a tackle that Eric Pimentel should have made at that moment that put the victory at risk. That's what I mean more about it. That should not have gone in. Should not have been 3-2. Uh, but coming back into this game against San Diego here at HEB Park, um, it really really felt that while RGV had more shots on target, at the end of the day, we go back to this inconsistency by this defensive line where they make some really terrible mistakes, where they've lose their concentration that leave them exposed in the most terrible way possible. Obviously, when you look at the starting 11 for this game, you had Tyler Derrick on goal, Jonathan Ricketts, Eric Kinsner, Eric Pimentel, Frank Nodarce, Ricky Reese playing as a defender. Once again, then you had in the midfield, you had Taylor Davila and Gringo Torres coming back as a starter. And then Cristiano Francois, Christian Pinzon, and Juan Galindres up on top. But those first 45 minutes, Ray, completely forgettable for RGV.
Yeah, I mean, it was just if you look at it from an analytical point of view, what game did it kind of remind you there when they played San Diego? What game did that remind you?
Oh, that's a really good question. Which one?
To me, it had to have been El Paso because remember they gave up those two goals, and then you saw a little bit of a fight back, and
Mm-hmm.
it had been very uncharacteristic from RGV to give up those two goals. You
Yeah.
know, it's such uncharacteristic fashion, but I guess it's now part of their characteristic where, they haven't had a consistent back line other than Jonathan Ricketts, who's uh, been there mostly all the time. I mean, you've had to play with different sorts of rotations in the back line. I mean, that's where it starts from. If you really want to like dig into the season of RGVFC.
Yeah. And I don't know why. I don't know why. Why is it that our defensive line is so inconsistent, man? It's like, and I've mentioned it before. Oop, let me close that first. And I mentioned it before to Jonathan. I mentioned it to you as well. There are some games where this defensive line plays like with 100% concentration. They don't make any mistakes. They cover very well. And then there's some games where it's like they make some boneheaded, decisions, and it's like, really, guys? It's like I feel like, and I
I
and I
just
know I know that a couple of players, like I think Tyler Derrick said him himself, yesterday. He said, a lot of the times, we score, but our defense screws, like our defenders, we screw ourselves up. We lose points because of some, mistakes as a defensive line. And it's just this inconsistency of, all of a sudden, in one game they score on you a lot of goals. Jonathan Check was telling me that the apparently at that point the difference between San Antonio and RGV and the in goals received wasn't much different. But the fact of the matter is that for the Toros, a lot of the times it's because there's multiple games where they get scored on 2, 3 goals, against. So all of that is really, really terrible. And against San Diego, it just another terrible performance.
Yeah, I mean, it was, this team has been very heckle and jied all season long, as you're going to show us a bit of the replays right there, where Francois had one of those opportunities as the play opens up for San Diego, deep pass into the final third, loose ball, uh, clearance, a little side to side action, move it up, a little bit of a square ball, drives through, tries to find an offside.
Now, here's another thing. Okay, that one is clearly offside. I think there is no question about that. I know there's some people that have been criticizing the refereeing in this game, but in this play there is clearly an offside position
I don't
by
know.
Juan Galindez.
From that angle point, it looks like the defender's right there with Galindres. Now he may have been just a shoulder
Mhm.
millimetrical outside, but okay, whatever.
But okay, so the big question that I have is is this experiment of having Ricky Reese as a wingback, is it working or is it not working? I'm not trying to blame the whole blame on him, honestly. Oh, before I mention that, okay, here's another situation, and we not only we saw this against San Diego, but we saw this against San Antonio as well. The breakaways from Cristiano Francois. He has the speed to get past defenders, but once he gets on 1-on-1 against the keeper, it seems like he doesn't know what to do.
Well, sometimes when the speed momentum just carries you, when you're just trying to elude the defenders, like the way you just showed right there,
Mhm.
sometimes you just uh have that lapse, where you just keep running, and when you want to decide to do something, it just like uh, the the legs just lock up a little bit, and you kind of have to like torque yourself a little bit to the left or right, and sometimes it just when you make contact with the ball, like it's already like halfway in its trajectory in the air.
Mhm. I
And
don't
and
know,
last night
man.
and last night you kind of saw that against San Antonio where you had two markers against him, and it was like San Antonio, obviously a little bit more of a physical team, just tackled them or just provides hard enough of a nudge where they don't get the ball rolling. You get a foul call, and it's hard to get that type of restart. But that's what everyone is just lining up to do against the Toros. When you see a guy like Francois who runs fast, but then in that final third instance, it's like.
Then
Uh,
what's the point then?
I don't know, but it's just
Like what's the point? If you have speed, but you're not going to take advantage of it to uh, reflect that in goals, then what's even the point? You know, because here's the thing. Okay, so here's the thing, right? Francois is fast.
okay.
He apparently outruns everybody else, including Juan Galindres, and maybe even including who else? Christian Pinzon. So he goes on the breakaway. He gets to the 18-yard box. He's all alone. He at least let's say if he has those breakaways, he's 1-on-1 against the keeper. If he had somebody else like a striker that was right there ready to receive a ball in the middle of the box, it'd be more fruitful. But you have to rely on Cristiano Francois' biggest strength and his biggest weakness at the same time, which is finishing. And the weaknesses outweigh the strength in these kind of plays.
Yeah,
Forgive me if I'm being a little bit too strong, but that's just the way I see it. You know, if something needs to be adjusted to, so that way you can that Cristiano Francois in those kind of plays has somebody there to help him wait for the ball and maybe receive make a tap in, because otherwise you're putting him in a position where he is not going to take advantage. He's going to either hit it wide or hit it straight towards the goalkeeper or to a defender, but it's not going to go into the back of the net, which is clearly what the point is for having Cristiano Francois in those breakaways. But the fact of the matter is, and I was talking to, and Eduardo Cariaga was telling me, another one of the biggest issues for Cristiano Francois is he's placed out way too wide. So he receives the ball right near the touchline, and not only does he have to run towards the end line, he also has to run in. So instead of him getting the breakaway, right in front of the keeper, where he's got both angles where he can try and shoot at least, he's coming in at an angle where when the keeper positions himself in the near post, he's got like 90% of the goal blocked just by his positioning. And I don't know, maybe he's not nimble enough or agile enough to try to feint the keeper or something like that. But there's got to be something else that he must do, or somebody else to help him out in though in those instances. Because right now, yeah, they look dangerous, like those breakaways, but let's be honest, they are not dangerous enough to actually get reflected on the scoreboard. So
yeah, and I was just reading one of the comments there. Wilmer effectively takes Ricky out of the game when he puts him at left wing back. You know, you I mean, there was two things that stood out to me. Okay, you play Ricky Reese as a wing back, and that's fine. That's a tactical decision. Fine, whatever. At this point, I mean, if you're gonna stick someone at left wing back, and everyone's gonna laugh at me at this one, but I think it would have to be Francois, because I think his strengths are his speed. Yes, I think he has that strength to knock off a forward or two, and then kind of use that explosiveness to make those runs. And whereas Ricky Reese, on the other hand, I think he's a little bit more shifty, where he can at least cut and create those angles where you're gonna at least have at least a passing lane, whether it be like through a through ball or find a square ball. Uh, that's just where my take is on that
and
position.
not only that, he's a player that has made it very obvious, very vocal, that he hates playing as a defender. He understands, okay, if that's what I need to do, that's what I need to do, but this is not a position I want to be playing at, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So that's going to be taken into effect.
Now,
Eh,
now, do you see Francois playing a little bit more of a central role?
Maybe a number 10.
I mean,
I mean, because they've tried him as a striker, it's been more of the same,
yeah. I
you
mean,
know.
it's
But he does have how many, 4 assists.
yes.
So he
I mean,
has the potential to be a distributor, maybe,
or even as a false nine. Who knows?
but not as a striker. When it comes to
Yeah,
finishing, I'm sorry, but Cristiano Francois is not it. And I don't know why Wilmer. Well, I kind of see why, and I kind of also don't see why. Who else are you going to
yeah.
put in right now? Kind of
I
thing.
mean, right
But if
now, I
we had
mean,
better players, like Cristiano Francois would definitely not be a starter for me. You know. Uh, but anyway, so talked a little bit about Cristiano Francois. It's almost like beating a dead horse by now, because It's just the same situations, the same problems, week after week with Cristiano Francois, and I feel like a broken record, just talking and talking smack about him. Um, but now here's the thing: I'm painting you a picture for this next play. 31st minute, 30th minute. Okay, water break comes in. It comes into effect. Players get water.
I don't
They
mind
start
taking
talking
one
with the
right now, to
coach.
be honest with you. A hydration break.
Shout out to Shadow Wolf. Um, so they get the orders from Wilmer Cabrera. Players get back on the field. And then this happens. San
Damu's one of the
Diego, San Diego starts, touching the ball here and there, and Ronaldo Damus scores a goal. Now,
that, that's a guy
immediately,
you just cannot leave unattended. I mean,
correct.
that guy. I mean, a champion winner with Orange County. The guy. I mean, he's one of the league's most lethal strikers.
Now, the controversy here that was being talked about by Toros fans and even myself, because when I saw it, like as it happened, my first instinct was, "Oh, this should have been called a foul. This should not have. This goal should have been invalidated. This is not a foul." With Eric Pimentel like going wee and
Or
falling
ooh,
falling to the ground, or
or
ooh.
ooh.
But if you look at this play, and this is the reason why I believe this goal counts correctly. Let me change the camera angles. Maybe okay. So this is what I see. I see both players trying to fight for the ball. They're jostling for the ball for each other, right?
I wish there was like the super slow frame by frame, just to kind of look,
Yes,
just to look at it from a super slow replay motion on that.
I agree with you, man. I agree, but that takes money, and yeah, that is not going
With
to
the
happen.
money the doggy dances.
With money dances the dog, dice el Pello Maldonado. So where I'm getting at is both of the players are jostling for the position to try. Eric Pimentel's trying to clear the ball, and obviously Ronaldo Damos is trying to get to the ball, inside the box. Okay, so what happens is that they're jostling for position, and Ronaldo Damos, in his experience and his talent, instead of continuing to force to compete by force by strength against Eric Pimentel, he jukes Eric Pimentel at the last second. He turns towards his right, and the momentum that Eric Pimentel had sent him on a crash course with the ground and flew off towards his left side. Whee! Kind of thing. There was no push by Ronaldo Damus. There was no ill intention by Ronaldo Damus. This is a legal play by Ronaldo Damus to shake off Eric Pimentel. Um, it looks bad on Eric to get uh, to get taken out that easily. I think, to be honest, but that's just football IQ from Ronaldo Damus. Beautiful reception, obviously, to maintain the ball right in front of him, and the composure to put that ball into the back of the net as well. But my biggest concern that I have here, and I'm mentioning this now because I'm going to mention it again when we talk about the third goal. How is it that our defense, our team, is going to shut off their brain right after a water break? Because not only does that happen where you get scored on right after a water break, a minute or two later, you get scored on again, and now you're losing 2-0.
Yeah, I mean, former head coach and current assistant coach Jerson Echeverry once told us in a press conference, the first 5 minutes after a goal is scored are the most important for a reaction. Yeah, memo not taken, I guess. I don't know. I mean, Robinson Moshobane, who earned a slot of team of the week there,
Hmm.
credit to him. He was able to find that cavity of space that the Toros defenders gave him that open lane. We go
Oh,
ahead and play that and play that replay. Yayo
okay.
Gallo.
Okay. Now let's be honest here.
Okay.
There was a lot of dis. How can I explain this? It seems like the midfield was kind of just going through the motions with the press. So what happens right before here in this play is that Coque Vegas playing, channeling his inner Nahuel Guzman as a sweeper keeper, um, receives the ball on his, like right outside the 18-yard box, and looking to distribute the ball. So what happens is both Gringo and Taylor Davila move way up past the midfield line to continue the pressure. When in reality, you only need maybe one player of those two to move up. And usually that's going to be Taylor Davila, right? So Gringo moves up, and there's a huge space between your line of defenders and your midfielders where you have three players from San Diego all alone. Coque Vega sees this, passes the ball over to Moshevane, right? Which is right where you could see right here where he's receiving the ball. So what happens is that because there's nobody there to put pressure on Moshobane, Eric Kinsner moves up to try to put some pressure on. But look at these two players that are here wide open. There's nobody there. There's nobody there covering. Either
Yeah,
Taylor should have
the
been here.
transition defense is what's failing right there. I mean,
Yes, exactly.
you see two of the midfielders right there. Look, they're just caught ball looking at that stage, which gives Moshe Bani the liberty to
Yeah, but who's the
pivot.
bigger culprit of that? Who's the bigger culprit of that? Gringo Torres. Look what this is what I'm going to say. Okay. Look at the rate of how fast Gringo is running back towards the play and the rate of Taylor Davila. At least Taylor Davila is trying to hustle and get back into the playing and create some pressure. Gringo Torres, he's just jogging and just watching the play. I expect more from a an experienced midfielder like Gringo. I'm sorry, but that's just unacceptable. You know, but continue on what I'm saying here. Okay, so take a look. Follow Moshobane after he passes the ball, which is this player right here. This is
Okay.
Moshobane, right? And Eric Kinsner is over here. Follow them too.
Okay.
The ball's gonna go out wide. Kinsner, if you noticed, he let up on his jog. He started kind of fast walking, right?
Yeah,
Look at all that
expecting.
space. Look at all that space where the defense is in shambles. Nodarse is out of position. Pimentel is out of position over here. I want to say
Pimentel
that it's Benitez
Pimentel
as well.
might Pimentel might be the closest there on that play.
Hmm.
And I'm just being generous by even saying that, because if you look at the cavity of spaces inside that little triangle where you got the marker who's going to go defend the out
Right
wide
here,
guy for San Diego. No, no,
right
no.
here.
Yes, right here. So you got two guys right there. One guy
Hmm.
is already like shoulder peeking, like, okay, I know I've got someone right behind me, so I'm just going to stick to him. While the outside back, he's caught off guard,
Correct.
uh, knowing that there might be a centering pass or even a direct shot.
Hmm. So look at all the space straight towards goal. So Moshe Vane notices that Eric Kinsner, who is out of the way, so Instead of Eric Kinster hustling back to try to get in between the goal and Moshobane, to at least force Moshobane to at least go around him or something like that, there's wide open space into the box. So number 7 notices that, takes advantage of that, receives the ball, sends the cross, and it's goal number 2 for San Diego Loyal.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's just like wow. Look at
There's just no
yeah,
words.
yeah. I mean, it's total ball watching at this stage. I mean, you had Ricketts trying to cover the outside guy. Nodarce, you know, he had a guy behind him, and then you had uh, Gringo and Pimentel, uh, just just you know, I don't know what they were looking at or what may have caught them off attention, but I mean that was just way too easy for San Diego.
Correct. And it's just like really, like we go back to this whole situation of defensive, disorganization and the inconsistency of this defense. Look, we understand Wahab is out, right?
Yep.
But somebody's got to step up.
Yeah.
And Gringo, you're an experienced player. You're former U.S. men's national team. You've been on the bench all this time. You've been given the opportunity to get back into the starting 11. Take advantage of it, guy. Like seriously, you're not going to prove to Wilmer Cabrera that you deserve the starting position back playing like this, playing at 50%. And that's another reason why I think he got subbed out at halftime. Let's be honest. I think Wilmer saw that Gringo Torres in that position and the midfielder was more of a liability uh, than an asset, and he took him out, looking for to improve this team in the second half.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I mean, you're in the middle of a playoff race. I mean, you've got to throw everything that you have on the table. I mean, there's just no way of looking at it.
So Moses Flores says, "Yep, no intensity from the mids in that game." Yeah. So in the second half, Wilmer Cabrera makes 3 substitutions. So he subs out Eric Kinsner, he subs out Cristiano Francois, and he subs out Gringo Torres, bringing in Gabriel Benitez, Ian Cerro, and Frank Lopez. And those substitutions appear to make a big difference for RGV. They looked a little bit better offensively. They started generating a little bit more, and they end up actually scoring in the second half in the 49th minute, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So look at this play. So open it up to Gabriel Benitez, cross over. Nobody gets a touch to it. Ricketts gets that ball outside the 18-yard box, and he takes the shot and puts it in the back of the net. I know that Jonathan Ricketts, when I think it was you that asked him, Ray, about what his mind was going through in that play, he mentioned that he wanted to kick it, first time, but decided he saw that he had time, and I think that was better for him because not only does he get a better angle, excuse me, a better angle, better control of the shot on frame. But it also added, I think, if I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, Ray, but there was also a deflection from one of the San Diego defenders that put Coque Vegas out of the play.
Yeah, I mean, it took the slightest of deflections, but enough of a deflection to where that ball just landed near top bin areas.
Mm-hmm. And then later on in that second half, RGV continued to press on, and in the 71st minute, they get a penalty called in their favor. Um, and in the end, Christian Pinzon takes the penalty,
Yeah,
and
you could just see the charge there by Grant Stoneman.
oh
Uh,
yeah, Like there is no. I have no idea what San Diego was complaining about. That was clearly an attempt to charge and not really to
Or there
challenge
was
for the
more. It
ball.
was more like a hip check charge type thing,
Correct.
and insert the sound effect of "oh."
Oh, quítate perro.
No, not
But
that.
ah, but
It was
yeah,
just "Oh."
Christian Pinzon gets the ball into the back of the net, and it really looked like RGV was going to wake up. RGV was going to uh revert the situation, probably get even a third goal, uh, and probably get a victory. But minutes later, another water break, and the play right after, coming off of a throw in.
It
Look
was
at this
not even
play.
5 minutes later,
Correct.
and I go back to the earlier statement. I stated your first 5 minutes are just that much more important for your reaction, and it's just one of those things that the team just failed to realize their situation at the moment. Uh, Mike, I'm not even gonna read your
Yeah.
comment there. I'm just not. That's just
No.
nah,
No.
bro, nah.
No. You no quema at all. Absolutely no. I'm not. I'm not even gonna. I'm not even gonna address
I'm
it.
not entertaining that smoke, son.
Yeah. Because, like I mentioned, okay, that third goal, that was not offside. That was not offside. I think a lot of people are complaining that should have been offside. To me, once again, from the press box at normal speed, it looked offside. But once you look at the replay, not offside, not offside at all. But here's the situation here: disorganization once again. Let's take a look right here. So that gets halfway cleared out. San Diego recovers. But this is what happens once again. An overcommitment from one of the center backs leaves a space wide open for Moshobane to take advantage of.
Yeah,
So you got three players. You got, if I'm not mistaken, this is Taylor Davila. So you got Taylor Davila here, Ricky Reese, that are could be defending that play. Why Nodarse did not track back into the line, I will never understand. That left the door wide open for Moshobane with that first to receive that first touch. And yeah. Um
yeah. I mean, yeah, exactly right there. It cost us a little bit of ball watching right there. It was like it looked like San Diego was playing a little bit at a little bit of a faster rate. To put it in better understanding context, or playing at a better speed, per se.
Now, some people are also arguing that there was a PK that was not called in favor of RGV later in the game. I agree with that. I do agree with that. Obviously, they don't have that in the highlights here, but I know exactly what the play you're talking about, and that to me that should have also been a second PK. But for someone to make the kind of statements that that Mike is making, I think it's way out of left field. We know the level of USO referees from pro referees. It's abysmal. Whether you're male or female, how many times have guy referees missed PK calls, blatant PK calls? There was like even the San Antonio match. There's a blatant handball, not in the box, but outside the box from San Antonio that should have been called. The referee saw it and he's like, nah, play on. So it's not a gender issue. This is just the level of pro referees. We've talked about this before. Okay, so please don't entertain that. Please do not entertain that statement, guys. That's all I'm going to say about that. So now we move on, Ray, to the South Texas Derby. Now that we kind of mentioned it a little. So obviously, this San Diego game, terrible, abysmal. Uh, I'm not putting it at the level of the game against Memphis, but this was like PTSD kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, can we just put the two guys meeting in the middle and put the Duelo de Relleno filler match slogan?
Uh, yeah, I mean, what is there to talk about this game? The really
Uh,
about as far as opportunities, I think the only one you could say was that free kick, or was that corner kick. Was it no? It was a free kick, right? That hit the post.
yeah, and that had Juan David Cabezas timed his run perfectly. I think it's I think he just gives a little dink touch in there, and it sneaks right in. I mean, San Antonio had countless corner kicks.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
You know what the worst part about this game was? This wasn't a soccer game. This was a WWE wrestling match.
yeah, I mean, San Antonio tied second for fouls, and they average about 15 per game, and I think they nearly got to their average by the end of the first half.
Mm-hmm.
That's what kind of worried me there for a second, and I talked about it with Mark. Uh, that they had picked up a little about 60% of their fouls just in the first half alone.
And not only that, I think another thing we have to add. Okay, we know that that's the
That's the
that's the
DNA.
way. Yeah, that's the DNA of San Antonio. But RGV fell right where San Antonio wanted them. They fell into the trap where RGV started making fouls as well.
Okay, uh, I think that might be an early Gemma call for the following reason. Had they had RGVFC continued to fall for San Antonio's game, I would honestly think that RGVFC would have outfouled San Antonio.
Mm-hmm.
But you look at the discipline part of RGVFC's defense of not falling into giving silly late fouls in the second half. That's where you got to commend the RGVFC defense. Is that
Mm-hmm.
the only late foul in either end of the half was that free kick that just sailed over the bar by Fabian Garcia. If you can recall, he
Yeah, I
might have
think
had that last minute the screamer.
in the first half, right?
Yeah, no, where he had a last minute screamer
Mm-hmm.
some time ago when Tyler Derrick was beaten on a free kick like that. I
Oh,
can't
okay.
remember who Fabian Garcia was with. I mean, I could be wrong. It could have been with San Antonio or Austin Bold FC. F in the chat.
Mm-hmm.
Um, uh, but that's the play I'm talking to you right there at the end of the half, where it just went. Ruda Suhir took that free kick. And
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking all along, like, it's going to be Garcia because he scored one from there before to beat Tyler Derrick. And sure
Yeah.
enough, that ended the first half.
Yeah, but look, final stats of this game. RGV had 5 total shots, 4 of them block, 0 on target.
And you know what was the last time that happened? Where they were held scoreless and a shot accuracy on target? It
When?
was in June, 15 matches ago against Orange County FC on the road.
Mm-hmm.
That was the last time we were held scoreless or shotless of any type.
Yeah,
So
and how can you expect to get a victory when you can't see, you can't generate. Now, kudos obviously to San Antonio's defense as well. I
Yeah.
think we have to give San Antonio credit for the defensive organization. I was looking at the tweets and the analysis from John Morrissey, and one of the biggest things was that Carter Manley completely, Carter Manley had Jonathan Ricketts in his pocket. This was one of the games where Jonathan Ricketts really didn't have a good game. And why? Because Carter Manley was in charge of moving up in the field to intercept Carter Manley from moving up as freely as he usually does on that wing back position.
Yeah. I mean, there were several times where Carter Manley just fouled Cristiano in what looked to be almost in a breakaway situation where you kind of see that that tactical foul, the tackling fouls, and Ricketts was real close right there to picking up a second yellow right there.
Yes,
Thankfully, the
yes.
ref played advantage right there
Yeah,
on this
and the
highlight
fact that he
film.
missed too, I think he missed because he actually missed the tackle in that second one because it was like he gets the yellow and
Well,
then
it
right
was
away.
actually a foul, but the ref played advantage. If you
Mhm.
look at it again right there,
No, that's
no,
cabezas. That's cabezas. Hold on,
that's
let me.
Macavesas. Yeah, he kind of held him up. That was another tactical foul.
Doink.
Right,
Yeah,
right
that was
there.
that one.
That's yeah, that was it. That was just it right there. Where Ricketts picked up the yellow for a tactical foul earlier,
They
and
play
look at him go
it.
full speed,
Doink.
and he almost pulls a Rob Core at
That yeah, it's San Antonio.
yeah,
But that's just a frustration. I feel bad for Jono though, because we're used to Jono playing having amazing games, but unfortunately, this game against San Antonio was just a dud, for him.
yeah,
And then he ends up having to get subbed out because of a cramp
yeah.
as well. But
And,
I have to say I
and
honestly liked what I saw from Cole
Cole Frank.
from Cole Frame when he came in.
And to be honest, I kind of like the that we saw the vintage Juan David Cabezas. It's not a Juan David Cabezas type of game if he's not getting a yellow card.
That is very true, but it was almost like I was about to play.
Yeah. Oh my God, Edson's
Oh
mic is
Jesus!
down, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh no! Oh Jesus!
Yeah.
Time out! Time out! Well,
Circus show
well,
provided by Edson Ochoa, now doing a circular stunt on here on Down in the Valley.
no, I'm not pulling a Brad Keselowski, Ray. Though
Okay,
that
well then
was
get
funny though.
well. If there's a replay of this later on tonight, I would like to see the yakety sax in the background.
So somebody better clip it. Costless, that's on you. That you're the Toros meme expert. But yeah, okay. So where I was going on, obviously, defense stepped up because while San Antonio had been struggling, were scoreless against Pittsburgh. They were scoreless against Monterey Bay. Now they're scoreless against RGB. But the potential for for having such a dangerous offense, especially when they have their leading goal scorer right now in the USL Championship, is always going to be there. And huge kudos for Eric Kinsner, who stepped up big time with the
Yeah.
absence of Eric Pimentel. Who else did I like? Did I like what I saw? Even Gabriel Benitez. I think Gabriel Benitez. I've criticized him before, but he had a hell of a job against San Antonio FC. Obviously, in the offense, left a lot to be desired. We talked about Cristiano Francois and his speed, and he either falls, he trips over himself, or he doesn't complete the pass or the shot. And Christian Pinzon, man, he's not himself. He is not himself, unfortunately, lately.
Yeah, I mean, wow, it's just something that, for me, it's just one of those games that, okay, fine. I mean, it, if you're gonna look at this from a motivational standpoint, okay, it's a scoreless draw against one of the conference leaders.
Hmm.
I mean, that's that's something that you can take away from this match as now. I mean, you know, now you got another 6 pointer, as Wilmer hates to call them,
Hmm.
because Phoenix is a direct rival, and they're inside that playoff line. We're not, and we're gonna have to get now. It's time to get the result on the road. I mean, look, I kind of expect Wild Horse Pass, or whatever their stadium is now called, to be a playoff like atmosphere. I expect it to be a playoff atmosphere. Thankfully, it's not dollar beer night like
Hmm.
in other seasons before. So I kind of expect the Toros to put up a little bit more of a valiant effort against Phoenix. I mean, Phoenix is one of those teams where I think they play so much better at home than what they do on the road now.
Yeah. Yeah, and unfortunately, it's it's the I think as much as the because I know somebody asked the question Ray yesterday at the press conference to Frank Lopez. As much as they want to say that, oh, we've scored in what was it, four of the last five goal or
Yeah, that
five
was
games.
Eduardo. That was Eduardo.
Yeah, but
And then
yet
I
even
and
yet
then
even
even then I followed him up, like, bro, like, come on, like, get off my lane, man. Like, stay off my ice.
this offense could be so much better though. But man, it's that I'm not even gonna address. I'm not even gonna address the situation because then my fan site shows up and I get in big trouble. Big trouble if I speak. To quote the great Jose Mourinho. But no, in all seriousness, the offense left a lot to be desired. The defense really stepped up. Uh, and I just can't help but continue to think about that quote that Wilmer always has talked about, where he says, "Well, a team cannot be good offensively and defensively at the same time. You're either good offensively, terrible defensively, or vice versa." And I still don't agree with it, but man, it seems like RGV. That's basically what it is. It's like they're either good defensively and they can't get they can't get the offense clicking at 100%, or their offense clicks at 100%, but their defense is making dumb mistakes and giveaways and all of that. So, but yeah, a South Texas Derby that left a lot to be desired as far as the entertainment value, as far as the results, and obviously, San Antonio takes Copa Tejas for the second time in a row. Um, but I mean, the trophy's like whatever, dude. Honestly,
Yeah.
but my biggest concern, and we'll talk about it right now. I've actually, unless you have some final thoughts about this game, we can go ahead and go straight to Kema no Kemaka.
Let's take it in. Let's take it straight in.
All right. So obviously, just a quick reminder: if you're new to the Down to the Valley podcast, or you need a little reminder, Kema no Kema is Down to the Valley's version of Door Bumper Clear's Spot On, Spot Off. Basically, I gave a quote, give a bit of news or something, and anybody that's here on the chat, or and even us, like whoever is, whether it's Jacob and I or Ray and I in this case, we say "quema no quema ka." Quema means we agree with the statement. No quema means we disagree with the statement. So, are you ready for the first one, Ray?
Vamos.
All right. So, Wilmer Cabrera on the team being unable to get a victory over San Antonio. He said, "All games are important, especially at home where we always want to win. We were coming off of a regular, and this is where I put in just as quotes or parentheses. He says regular, but he left the context where he just didn't want to say terrible. So I put here code word for terrible. So we were coming off of a regular performance, especially in the first half against San Diego, and we needed a change. We needed to show that the team is not what we showed in the first 45 minutes against San Diego, but rather what we saw today. A team that whenever the team needs to fight, they fight. When they need to be strong, they're strong. And when we need to play, we play. That's what we tried to do today against a rival that is the current champion and the current leader in the Western Conference. We couldn't score, but we need to continue on with the remaining games. If we qualify with this, if we play with this intensity, concentration, and with a bit more opportunities up front, it's possible that we can qualify. Quema no quema.
I kind of have to agree, Gemma, because right now, I mean, you're kind of expecting this team to have a second surge. Okay, I mean, that's what it's historically has done. Now,
Mhm.
now, are they the same team? No. Are the circumstances the same? Absolutely. But if you look at the rest of the calendar remaining, 4 out of the next 5 are on the road.
Yes.
And you're playing 4 out of the next 5 on the road, knowing that you're gonna have to steal. Uh, let's see, you have 15 points available. If you could come away with a total of between 10 and 12 points back from that stretch, you'd be glorious in singing. But if you look at the style of play that they've been presenting, you'd be calling me crazy and saying, no, there's no way that they can bring that amount of points back.
Mhm.
And now, mind you, you're going to go play in different parts of the country where altitude is going to play is going to play something of a factor,
Colorado. Mhm.
whether they want to agree to it or not. Playing on turf at Indianapolis,
Correct.
uh, I cannot remember what Hartford plays in, but they
I think
haven't
they're
given us
also
an.
turf.
Uh, you see that there's another one. Hartford's the team in the Eastern Conference that's lacking in results. And if you remember Tyler Derrick's post game comments about him having to wake up and getting up and be ready to play for these opponents, no matter where they stand at the table, um, that's one of the things that the Toros are going to have to deal with. They're going to have to go on the road and try to steal points from every single one of those teams because those teams are also fighting for their playoff lives. And Hartford might not be so much in it, but at this stage, I mean, you're gonna have to go out try to uh, and try to steal results now on the road. I mean, it's been a while since a team has won at Colorado Springs. It's I mean, it's going to be their first ever visits to Indy and Hartford, and you're just gonna and Phoenix is not an easy place to play in, so it's going to be
Correct.
one of those things where you're just going to have to strap on your pants or your shorts a little bit tighter and try to really man up and try to get results on the road.
I'm looking at Costless the comment. He says, so basically, if the impossible happens, then we qualify for the playoffs. LOL. Reminds me of that quote that you always put in of that Indianapolis Colts coach.
Playoffs. Talking about playoffs, Jim Mora.
Yes,
To quote Jim Mora, we just hope we can win a freaking game.
exactly. And I feel like that's probably how a lot of people are thinking right now, especially
Yeah,
with
they're probably looking at me like this guy's smoking or something or what.
the
And that's fine, I mean, if I mean they're gonna have to steal results on the road now. I mean, all these home losses, the last minute love alert to New Mexico United, which I called unfortunately, and you heard me, Edson.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
Um, the draw to Las Vegas at home, that loss to Las Vegas on the road. It's like, yeah,
it all
yeah, no,
accumulates. So Costa says, no quema because it won't happen. Coach is right but delusional. And then it adds, Wilmer should recreate that meme. Mike also says, we need to make that meme. Abraham says, well, I wouldn't count the Toros out, though. Even in past years, the team didn't make playoffs until the last home game. But here's the
Where's the
difference.
lie? Where's the lie on that statement?
There is no lie. There is no lie. But there is a difference. Because in these last 2 years, RGV would make some midweek acquisition or mid-season acquisitions before the roster freeze deadline that gave that second surge for RGV that led them to the playoffs. So far, right now, we haven't seen anything that of value, of relevance, of uh, bomb signing or anything like that. Yes, you brought in Cole Frame, who is a diamond in the rough, but he's not a clutch player so far. He's here to earn minutes, to get some experience, because he's coming in from North Carolina FC, if I'm not mistaken, Rick.
Correct.
He's on loan from North Carolina FC, so he's getting some USL Championship experience. But he's not a player that, if everything fails, he is going to carry this team on his back, or he is not going to be a Christian Pinzon of 2022, or more importantly, Jonas Fieldberg of 21 and 22. And that's what I think what RGV needs right now.
Yeah.
But
Or as when the entire city of Monterey decided to use the word bomba as a fichaje for Sergio Canales. Ahí viene la bomba. Ahí viene la bomba.
And remember, sin penales no hay canales.
Oh man.
Anyway, but I honestly, for me, I think he's right. I think he's right halfway. Because we need this offense. We need both sides of the ball to be on fire. We can't just have one be on fire and the other one be a dumpster fire. You see what I'm saying? You see what the difference is? On fire does not have the same, definition as calling someone a dumpster fire. They both have to step up in order to get some results against very tough opponents and hostile environments, to get ourselves back into the playoffs. Because right now we're kind of praying that El Paso continues under slump, but they won this weekend. Phoenix won as well against Sacramento Republic. New Mexico won as well. So we have to do our part. We can't just rely on others to not do their part. Because if we continue to rely on that and not get the points that we need to, it's over. So hopefully we can somehow sneak into the playoffs once again. And you know what? I'm going to continue my streak. Toros are not going to make the playoffs. I'm telling you right now, the Toros are not going to make the playoffs. The way they're playing right now, the way they've been so inconsistent, they're not making playoffs. And even if they do, first round bye, they're going to be a Ricky Stenhouse Jr. of the USL Championship Western Conference. If you guys follow NASCAR, you will understand that reference. A one and out. So Mike says, we're hoping for one more trade. Hopefully they'll announce something soon. If not, post F it. I guess Cantu ready to call it a season because he sees no hope. Oof. God, I hope that's not the case. But, well, I hope that's the case that we can get something. But I hope it's not the case that they've already called it quits for the season. And Costa says, I agree with Edson. So, second one. This is going to be interesting for you, Ray. So, Wilmer Cabrera on the difficulties of missing key players. In the last game, we undoubtedly, and these first two quotes, just FYI, they're translated from Spanish. Okay, so they are not like, they might not be 100%, but I try to keep it as loyal to the meaning in Spanish as possible. So he says, in the last game, we undoubtedly missed Wahabakwe. He's out for the rest of the season. It's not a secret. Bombshell from Wilmer Cabrera right there yesterday. And the reason I say it's a bombshell is because it's rare for Wilmer Cabrera to address injuries and say on record when somebody is going to be out. But yesterday he said it. Wahab Akwe is out for the rest of the season. Okay? He continues. He was our best defender. We also did not have Juan David Cabezas for the red card suspension, and we don't have our goal scorer, Wilmer Andres Cabrera. When a team gets their best three players taken away, it's noticeable and it affected us. I think today we fixed our issues, and with this team, we looked solid. It gives us confidence and hope that with this team we can fight for the qualification to the playoffs because that is our goal. Quema or no quema, ka.
Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. I'm gonna have to agree. I'm gonna have to agree. I mean, right now at this stage of the season, I mean, when you start to announce stuff like that as a coach, it's like you're already throwing your entire playbook like out the window. I mean, it's like wow. I mean, it's like yo. At this stage of the season, when you're seeing stuff like that, I mean, yeah, it's like time to time time to call it a rainy day.
So Kosla says, we are finished with Akwe out. Mike says, oof, quema ka. Abraham says, so basically, better luck next year. And then says, quema. Joe Granson also says, quema. And Mike says, losing Wilmer sucks. Now Wahab, no pinche mames. You know what I say about this quote? No quema ka. You want to know why I think no quema ka? Do you all want to know why? Because like you're saying, that's basically we're going to try to salvage what we can with what we have. Wilmer, if you probably didn't know, the roster freeze is you still have time before the roster freeze to get some players. If these players are as as elemental that the team's performance is going to affect, you have an opportunity to get players that are going to replace these players that are going to be out. You're also the general or the sporting director of this team. Find some way to convince ownership, I need some money or something, and make some moves. Make some moves to replace Wahab. Make some moves to replace Wilmer Andres Cabrera. We can't just be sitting here with our arms crossed and say, well, I guess it is what it is, and we'll kind of salvage with what we have. No, if they were very elemental, which they were, try to find someone that's going to be as great, if not better, than Wilmer and Wahab Akwe, and help bolster that squad to try to find a playoff position. Basically, what I'm getting at, there's still an opportunity to take matters into our own hands to make something out of the season. So we're here, lamenting that we don't have Wahab, lamenting that we don't have Wilmer Jr. Well, we can do something about it. Now, if this was past the roster freeze, then okay, all right, yeah. Okay, we lost Wilmer after the roster freeze, or we lost Wilmer the day before the roster freeze, so we don't have time to replace him. Wahab gets injured right before the roster freeze, so we can't replace him. Okay, I'll give it to you that we're going to have to make do with what we have. But there's still time to make some moves to bring in players to replace these players with the level of performance that they come with it. That's why I'm no Maka about what he's saying.
And I understand your point where you're coming from on that. It's just something that uh, whether they have the opportunity is there because it's there. Okay, what they'll do with it is like, hey, it's I've always said this team is real heckle and jive on and off the field at times. And what I mean by on and off the field is like you see how they perform on the field. Sometimes they play like $1,000,000, and sometimes they just play like whatever. And then you have Wilmer saying like, "Oh, we lost our consistent center back," and roster freeze is like less than 2 weeks away. It's like, yeah, it's like something's like not adding up here.
Costless says, I don't blame Cantu if he doesn't bring anyone else in. We're done. And then adds, Cantu must have told Wilmer no one is coming in. I hope that's not the case. Mike says, and Ray, maybe it's true Cantu is out for the season. He's probably telling Wilmer, wait till next year. I see no hope. Joe Granson says, they have the money from what they have saved and not used for promotional events or outreach to the community. Ouch. Ouch.
And that's not coming from either me or you.
I'm washing my hands. ¿Qué dijo el público? When their fans are starting to say this, that's got to say something, to be honest. So don't blame me. I had nothing to do with it. This is the feeling of the fans. All right.
Y no se juega con los sentimientos del aficionado.
Exactamente. Kosla says, keep Noche Latina or bring in a new signing. We only have money for one. At this point, give me a signing, man. I don't care how many, I've said, yes, this club needs promotions. This club needs, some way to get the fans into the stadium. But the fans are not going to keep returning to the stadium if the product of the field is mediocre. It's just the way especially here in the Valley.
Yeah, Noche Latina, it's Hispanic Heritage Month coming up for that. I'm hoping to do something a little bit special on my YouTube page for that with some of the institutions. It's just something that we all live in a Hispanic heritage atmosphere here, and it's just if you have only money for one, jeez, I don't.
I think for me, there's no contest. Get me the signing. At least make it seem like you're trying. If it doesn't pan out, okay, well, at least you tried. Mike says, just these last two comments before we move to the third one. And last, okay. Mike says, a beer is $14. We get like 20 a game. They have money. Que no mame Cantu. That's what Mike said. But I think it's a lot more than just saying, oh, they have money because of the concessions. I don't know.
I cannot say anything. Toro's nachos are fantastic.
The Berbers are great, but no, there's a lot more than just how much are they getting in concessions, because it's also about how much are they spending with travel, how much are they spending with salaries, how much are they spending with any fines or anything like that. There's a lot of expenses.
Here so I won't get fined.
Yeah, pretty much. But the point is maybe the fact of the matter is that I mean, let's be honest. The In this second half of the season, the attendance at HB Park has been abysmal, right? So you're not getting a lot of revenue coming in, and you still have a lot of expenses. So maybe that's where the problem is that they don't seem it feasible that, I'm losing money on this thing. It's like, why am I going to invest in it? And it sucks, right? But yeah, they get a lot of money from merch, and more specifically concessions. But in the grand scheme of things, is it really greater than the expenses? That's the biggest thing right here. And then Costless asks a question: realistic dream signing.
Mm, boy, our defense has been in shambles all season long. If
Mm-hmm.
you're gonna ask me like realistic dream signings, I'm gonna have to say a loan move for Sporting Kansas City defender Robert Castellanos.
Thank you. I
We
agree
need
wholeheartedly.
um he knows the championship very well. He's got that MLS experience. It's just something that if we can get him in before the deadline, I would welcome it. And I would probably ask for a 1v1 interview. And yes, I see your jersey. Yeah, the Johnny Cash edition of the Nashville Soccer Club uh, jersey. I mean, I just love their blackout theme for this year for
Yeah.
Nashville.
No, that one's the
Mm,
the blue and gold one, not the Johnny
oh, okay.
Cash one.
Not the Johnny Cash. Looks
Yeah.
black from a distance.
Well, that's probably because of the blue lighting, but
Yeah.
because if I put the if I put the white light, hold on, and you'll see
Watch
this.
Edson in watch Edson in his effects show. Yeah. Still looks black from a distance.
Yeah, no, it's navy blue,
Yeah, I mean, and then you got a couple, one royal and yellow scarf there that's just horrible.
sir. Let's not get into controversies. We already have enough controversy with this upcoming topic.
I mean, I just hope that Yayo El Gallo beats El Tigro Saturday. That
Ah,
would be really fun. That would be really fun for the other podcast we listen to.
nomás que no nos den piquete en el yoyopo, por favor. So real quick, amo el fútbol. This is my dad. Amo el fútbol. Amo a mi equipo. Apoyo a mi equipo, pero no estoy viendo nada en el campo. I love soccer. I support my team, but I'm not seeing anything on the field.
I mean, there. I mean, I haven't seen anything on the pitch for like the last two home games that I've seen.
So my dad's regarding dream signings, the returns of Cello, Chuy, or Caste. And Mike says, bring back Sorto or Cal Edwards or Camden Riley to help in the defense. You were doing so well, Mike. You were doing so well with that list. I mean, you just had to go off of the deep end with Camden Riley.
Que le
Oh,
ponga
man.
una casa.
Crómalo, en serio. Ponle Oxxo con segunda caja que sí funciona. Ponle McDonald's put him a McDonald's with an ice cream machine that actually works. But anyway, real quick, last and most controversial topic of the night. Hang on, put some seatbelts on, because this is going to be a wild ride. I'm surprised that Harry isn't here, because this is gonna ruffle some feathers. Because it did on Twitter. Jonathan Ricketts on the possibility of winning Copa Tejas. That would be cool, but we want to qualify for the playoffs at this point. We need the 3 points. That's what we're focused on. Trophy, cool, great, but we're focused on the bigger picture for sure. Quema or no quema ka?
Spot on. I mean, I'm gonna have to agree with him because, for the simple fact that he's trying to think overall big picture. which is why I'm trying to educate my crowd as well too. I mean, just look at the overall big picture. If you really want to, if you want to bring some sense and pride to the organization, fine. But I think there's bigger pride when you're gonna have a chance at an actual a league thing. And if this was a mini tournament organized by the league, fine. But it's not. So I wholeheartedly agree with Jono, el más basado del equipo.
Based Jono. I agree. I agree with Jonathan Ricketts. Copa Tejas should not be a priority in a sense of, yes, we want to win the game. Yes, we want to get the 3 points, or we should have gone for the 3 points, but not because of the trophy. Because it's San Antonio, and because we need 3 points for playoffs. And I wholeheartedly agree with Jonathan Ricketts on that part. Copa Tejas really, I'm sorry, but Copa Tejas, I supported it at first. Obviously, I thought it was a good idea, but honestly, I feel like they haven't done enough to connect with RGV fans. They've connected with San Antonio fans. They've kind of connected with El Paso fans. They connected with Austin Bold fans at their time, but I don't think they've done enough to connect with RGV fans. Neither the club has done a lot to give Copa Tejas relevancy, nor the organizers themselves have done to get RGV fans into the fold of Copa Tejas. So for us, really, it's an insignificant trophy that is not. They're not going to bat an eye. At the end of the day, is okay. We didn't get Copa Tejas. Okay, whatever. Our goal is we need to make playoffs. My take is, okay, let's say we win Copa Tejas. Let's say we won against San Antonio, but we failed to make it to the playoffs. Did we save our season because we won Copa Tejas? Of course not. It's not relevant. Copa Tejas is not relevant. It's just something between supporters in theory. What's are the players going to get a bonus because they won Copa Tejas? No. So I agree wholeheartedly with Jonathan Ricketts. And I see that Joe Granson says it's a bad take. He says, we have the opportunity to win our first trophy and get the playoff hope at the same time. It's San Antonio, it's 3 points and a trophy. I, as a fan, want it. We did not win the game. We did not get the trophy. And now on the verge of no playoff. Abraham says it's a pointless cup at this point.
Yeah, he is right because the cup has 0 points to it.
I understand where Joe is getting from,
Yeah,
honestly, because
yeah.
obviously a lot of people would or have the mentality, and I've said it multiple times with Tigres when it comes to Conca Champions. I mean, or Leagues Cup.
Hashtag
It's a
no vale.
it's a trophy. You're gonna have to go. You have the responsibility of going for it. But the difference is Conca Champions, Leagues Cup, Campeones Cup, Campeón de Campeones. Those are all official trophies. Copa
Hashtag,
Tejas is not.
hashtag no vale.
That's my take, and I think we can agree to disagree in that aspect. But that's just my take on the situation, and I think this is going to rely on Copa Tejas and RGV and San Antonio and El Paso to get together, as well as all the other supporters groups, all the supporters groups of Tejas, get together and work on this. If they want Copa Tejas to be successful and get an unanimous, hype from all the fan bases over this supporters-led cup, it's going to take a collaborative effort to improve the situation. Because right now, it's not at the level of relevance that Copa Tejas wants to be. And I'm pretty sure, and I don't know. I know I told Jonathan Rickett or Jonathan Check. I don't know if I told you, Ray, but I'm pretty sure the fact that Jonathan Ricketts and Wilmer Cabrera have publicly stated that for them, Copa Tejas has no relevancy compared to making the playoffs, that is going to be an eye-opening statement for the organizers to understand we need to make some changes to get RGV back in the fold.
And they're absolutely right. I mean, in fact, I want to take this public question here from Costless Titan. How big is the financial reward for qualifying the playoffs? Zero. Zero. Now, if you do some research on this Costless Titan, there's a author by the name of Nipun Chopra who covered the USL extensively when the Toros started coming in.
Mm-hmm.
Back when the USL was a sanctioned Division Two league, he pretty much broke down like the cost of how much teams win or lose money, and then there's also been some articles by Jeff Reuter of the Athletic that broke down some of the cost of the USL teams just uh, bleeding a little bit of money. So if you want a little bit more info on the USL's like insights, I would Google search USL followed by the authors Jeff Reuter or Nipun Chopra, and that would give you a better idea as to uh, how the USL runs things. I mean, the USL makes its money off of franchise rights fees, so that's kind of like your basic standard answer there.
So I knew it was going to be a controversial topic, and it ruffled a lot of feathers in San Antonio fans. I know a lot of people here in the Rio Grande Valley are kind of divided upon it, but I feel at least within this network, I think a lot of people do believe that Copa Tejas just doesn't have the relevancy for the team to pay much attention to it compared to actually making it to playoffs. But anyway, guys, real quick, Saturday, RGV will be traveling to Phoenix, and they will take on Phoenix Rising. It's a do or die. I think it's a do or die situation. Phoenix Rising has already kind of gotten away from us a little. If we look at the standings right now for the Western Conference, Phoenix used to be 2 points ahead of us. But we lost to San Diego and we lost 2 points to San Antonio. Meanwhile, Phoenix defeated Las Vegas Lights and defeated Sacramento Republic. So they've gotten away from us. We are currently 6 points away from Phoenix. So it's very imperative for RGV to get 3 points, to get themselves back closer to Phoenix, to try to get themselves ahead of New Mexico United if New Mexico United loses in their next game, which is going to be against Charleston Battery, which is possible. And continue to hope that El Paso Locomotive continues their free fall, even though they had a little bit of a parachute against Uh, who did they beat?
Uh,
Hartford. But they're going against Monterey Bay Union next.
yeah, that
So now we're in a situation. Sorry, Ray. Go ahead, real quick.
no now. You were just stating like some of those opponents that they had beaten, and now there's yeah, and some people don't want to believe they're 6 point swings, but don't ask me. I'm not the one that doesn't believe in that.
Costless Titan. Costless Titan says Phoenix rising versus Toros falling. Sir, take your upvote and get out. Well played, my friend. Well played. That was funny. That was really good. Joe Granson says USL need to honestly give priority to these games as well. Versus San Antonio on a Wednesday. I agree with you. These derby matches on Wednesday suck. They should not happen again. But it's going to take San Antonio and RGV to grow a pair and tell the league we don't want derby games on midweek anymore. Because I remember an episode of the now defunct Copa Tejas or Striker Tejas podcast. Roberto Silva did explain how the USL schedules are created, and one of the steps is the league shows the teams the proposed schedule that was created by the algorithm, by the software. And there they can give feedback if I like this or maybe move this because of X or Y reason. So the teams, if what Roberto Silva says is true, and considering the fact that Roberto Silva used to be the general manager for Austin Bold FC, so he was in these kind of meetings, negotiations, et cetera, if this is true, then San Antonio and RGV really need to step up to defend the South Texas Derby. Because if they're not giving it the relevant or the importance that it needs to request weekend matches for the derbies, you know, that's how it is. Abraham Moreno says, based on what's transpired this season and the status of the current team, playoffs or no playoffs, y'all's thoughts, real quick, because we want to give our predictions to Phoenix Rising.
No playoffs for now.
I agree. The way how RGV has been so inconsistent from week in to week out, no playoffs. And you're going up against tough opponents for this final end of the season. So I hope they prove me wrong like they have the last 2 years. And Jerson has kind of called me out and said, like, why do you never believe this team? Based on the facts at the moment, they really didn't give hope that they would make the playoffs. And it's just, we're getting back to this. I hope it's third time in a row where they pull up their big boy pants and get themselves sorted out offensively and defensively, and get a good run of results from here till the season ender against Loudoun United here at home. But for the moment, man, it's really hard for me to look at the schedule and say RGV has what it takes to make it to playoffs based on who we're going up against. My dad says no playoff. Abraham says, I hope so. Mike says playoffs. The push is coming. I really hope so, man. I really hope so.
Based on what evidence, Mike? I'm gonna no, I'll target you, Mike. You wanted to be targeted. Save your thoughts for the next show, and I'll give you some of the floor.
Joe Granson says no playoffs, but we'll keep believing to the end. Don't stop believing. Hold on to that feelings. Okay. This is not karaoke night. uh, Abraham says, third year, all we have is hope. And Mike says, prediction Phoenix 1, RGV 2. So, what is your prediction? What is your analysis of this Phoenix coming into this match? And what is your prediction, Ray?
Analysis of Phoenix, they just play so much better at home. I mean, they just do. I mean, the numbers show it statistically.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, they're a team that's just much more organized at home now. Uh, their stadium is not an easy place to play in. I mean, the only victory that we've gotten against Phoenix at Phoenix was that playoff quarterfinal game where ageless wonder Rodrigo Lopez decided to show up, score a couple of free kicks, and Vicente Sanchez drawing a foul inside the box to send the match into PKs. And then really that's only been the only other positive experience. Now, if anything, Phoenix has shown is that they've shown to be also inconsistent, but they've gotten more than enough results to be above the playoff line, something that RGV hasn't really shown. I mean, they only had that one resurgence in the middle of the summer, and then you had the home game, the 5 game unbeaten streak snapped at home by San Diego, and it's just one of those things where we're gonna have to get a real RGV FC to show up on the road.
So far, 2023 season, Phoenix Rising at home, which they now call Phoenix Rising Stadium at 38th Street, Washington, Phoenix, Arizona. Why do you have to make things so complicated? Anyway, I'm getting off track.
Or it's like when the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim of Orange County decided to change their name to be that long. That's what it kind of reminded me of right there.
So, at home, Phoenix Rising have 5 wins, 2 losses, and 5 draws. Their last 5 home games have been a 2-1 victory over Sacramento, which happened yesterday. 5-0 victory over El Paso Locomotive. 2-1 loss versus San Antonio FC. 1-1 draw versus Colorado Springs Switchbacks. And a 6-0 victory over Memphis 901 FC. That's not all. Hold on. Put your seatbelts on. Of all the times that RGV has played Phoenix, whether they were called Arizona United or Phoenix Rising, RGV has never won at Phoenix Stadium in the regular season. The only victory RGV has over Phoenix is that playoff match where they won in penalties. But outside of that, it's been a 2-1 loss in 2022, a 3-1 loss in 2021, 3-1 loss 2019, 1-0 loss 2018, and a 2-0 loss in 2017. Historically, Phoenix Rising has got our number.
I like to just say paternity suit is forthcoming.
Yeah.
Or a paternity suit's already there. It's just that no one wants to sign the FedEx documents.
Kosla says, if we played Las Vegas again and again for the rest of the season, I will still say no playoffs. Abraham says his prediction is 1-1. My dad says for this weekend, Phoenix 3, my RGV 1. Kosla says 3-1 Phoenix wins. Joe says, agree. Phoenix 3, RGV 1. And as I mentioned, Mike had said Phoenix 1, RGV 2. My regular prediction, 2-0 for Phoenix Rising.
Okay, my prediction. um, Duelo de relleno.
0-0.
Yeah. I mean, look, RGV FC is gonna have to apply a San Antonio on Phoenix. Just get real physical, wear them out as much as you can. I mean, I'm sorry if RGVFC has to resort to that tactic because Phoenix is just real good at home, having the possession and with and I just think that RGV is gonna have to put on their big boy pants and try to get this game to a scoreless draw.
The problem is, I don't know what version of RGV we're going to get. I know Shadow has said that before, and I agree with the sentiment. What version of RGV are we going to get? Are we going to get the lights out version, or are we going to get the make simple mistakes and let go of points, easily version of RGV?
Yeah,
That is the biggest incognito we have right now. And it sucks to say it, but it all goes back to RGV being so inconsistent this season. And to be honest, in order to be a champion, consistency is key. It's rare when you get a situation like Tigres last season where they spend most of the season in mediocrity. They fire the head coach, bring in an interim head coach of Roberto Dante Siboldi, and they consistently, I'm not going to say they played excellent, but they did enough to get the necessary results to make it to the final and win the championship. But at least they were consistent in putting the balls into the back of the net, whether it's Sebastian or Guignac or whatever.
yeah.
Outside of
You,
that,
you wanna know something that's real impressive about that run?
what?
You guys only won one freaking game in that run, based
That's
on
a
the based on the mediocrity that the league offered.
But they're able to take advantage of the situations of the league. As, but what I'm saying is they were at least consistent enough that they were able to get the results that they needed to advance. Whether it was based on their uh you get what I'm saying.
Y ahí viene el Edson,
Whereas
el tigre basado.
whereas with RGV, what we're getting is we can have a good team, and then all of a sudden they completely crap the bed the next game, like defensively. You know. So it's like when you're that inconsistent, it's really not a good look for you when you're going into the playoffs, especially when are there games that are you win or you're out. Because at least in Liga MX, you have the opportunity. You can have a crappy game in the home in the first leg, and you can try to recover in the second leg. You don't have that luxury here in the USL Championship. If you have a terrible game in your playoff match, tough luck. You're gonna be out. So bold prediction, Ray.
Bold prediction. We end up taking this one on the road if we in dire need of a freaking. I mean, if we're gonna have to start showing up for real, because apparently our home isn't our fortress. This season has shown it. Uh, we're gonna have to steal some results on the road now. They're gonna have to take this show on the road and get results that nobody would ever think of. And I think we grind out a 1-0 win. And I mean grind it out. I mean,
They're gonna have to fight for it.
Yeah.
Abraham says if they play like this last game against San Antonio, I think they can hold their own, which is why I think a 1-1. It's grinding it out. That's what it is. That's what it's gonna be. But they have to be consistent. They have to play consistently, if not better, like they game against San Antonio. If they're going to be playing a game like they did against San Antonio, and then they're going to be playing a game like they played against Memphis or a game against Las Vegas, cállate. Así como. That's just the way it is. Be consistent.
I love your dad's comment. De Rayados ni mejor hablamos.
Yeah. Abraham says, "Man, I remember mid-season when we had hopes on having a home field playoff advantage, a playoff game, and now, well, the inconsistency has kind of come and bit them in the butt. Their inconsistency right now, and their mental problems at the beginning of the season, that has put us in the situation where we're at right now. Are we mathematically still able to get a playoff spot? Absolutely. Even Las Vegas, I think right now is still not mathematically eliminated. And they only have 15 points. You know? But it's going to take the players to get together once again and work on their consistency. And they have to play like they did against San Antonio at Torero Field, or San Diego at Torero Field, against Louisville City at Lynn Family Stadium, against Sacramento at their stadium as well. If they can consistently play like that in these last couple of games against these tough opponents, we can probably salvage a playoff spot. But if they're going to play one game like they did against these teams, and one or two games like they did against Las Vegas, that's not going to happen. My bold prediction is going to be 3-0 RGV. That's my bold prediction. My bold prediction is that both ends click, both defensively and offensively. Joe Granza says his bold prediction is 2-0 RGV. And my dad finishes off saying, plus two key players are gone, Junior and Wahab. I'd add that as well. Obviously, guys, as much as we talk, as much as we're kind of being pessimistic here, and looking at analyzing the way they've been playing and all that, we can say that we don't believe that they're going to make playoffs. Let's still try to support the team. Let's still try to maintain some sort of hope. I mean, because it's the way I see it is there's two personalities in a soccer fan. One personality is the analytical side, and there's also the fan side. The one that's always going to say, my team is the best team in the world, no matter what. And my team is going to has what it takes to be a champion, no matter what, because I love this team and I want them to succeed. What I'm getting at, you can say from the analytical standpoint that this team does not offer what it takes to make it to the playoffs, but at the same time continue to root for them and hope and have the confidence that they can still somehow make it to the playoffs based on the positives that they've shown this season. Neither side cancels out the other, you know. So let's just hope that we get proven wrong once again, and RGV, we come in a couple weeks later, we come on the show and say, hey, we made it to the playoffs again. Awesome. I really hope that happens. But for right now, we need to take a look. The team needs to take a look at what they need to improve. Consistency. Getting rid of mental mistakes like they did against San Diego. And then maybe from there, they can get the results that they need for to make it to the playoffs. Because they've shown that they can, at their best, they can go up against Louisville. They can go up against San Diego. They can go up against Sacramento Republic. They can go up against San Antonio FC. But they have to play consistently in that manner. Because yeah, we can go up against San Antonio and draw them 0-0, hold them to a shutout. But at the same time, we lost to freaking Las Vegas Lights. So it's like you said it yourself, Ray. It's a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde kind of thing with this team.
Yeah, what version are we going to get out of it?
Abraham says, bold prediction, 2-1 RGV takes it. Mike says, bold prediction, we bring back Vicente Sanchez and we win 3-1. And my dad says, expressing ourselves, our thoughts does not mean that we don't love. I think that's what he's trying to say. Expressing ourselves, our thoughts does not mean that we don't love them, but we'll keep supporting them. We're still toros till the end. I agree. But guys, that's going to be it for this episode. I thank you all for being here for more than 2 hours listening to us ramble about the toros. I thank you all for all the participation. Abraham, Joe, Mike, my dad, Harry back in the beginning, Costless Titan as well. Thank you all for the interaction that you brought, your questions, your comments, your hot takes, even though some were a couple were kind of way out of left field, but it is what it is. Ray, thank you so much for hopping on once again in substitution of Jacob. Thank you for hopping on the in substitution from Brian Smith as well. I wish you the best of luck. Hopefully they can grant you another opportunity to get back into the booth. Before we go, do you have any final thoughts?
No, I mean, just thank you so much for all the encouragement and support from the last 48 hours. It's been a little bit of a whirlwind, but hey, it's one that I do with absolute pleasure. I do it for the soccer community here of the RGV. Whether you're with or against us, it is my honor and privilege to do so.
And of course, be sure to follow him at SOTX Athletics with an X at the end on Twitter, South Texas Border Sports on Instagram and Threads, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep, and also on YouTube, where I have pre and post game interviews available through there. Several one-on-one interviews with assistant coach Jerson Echeverry, Michael Knapp, who finally made his Toros debut after a little while being on the sidelines, and it was great to see Knapp back on the field for the first time this season. And I hope that he can come in and make the instant impact, because I mean, if you want to take a look at some silver lining context, I mean, Michael Knapp was a player that was made official, but because he had a long layoff, I mean, hey, that's quote unquote a new signing. But don't tell me that.
And obviously, like I've mentioned to you all many times before, please support South Texas Border Sports. Support the Overreacted Gamer. I know it's a lot more gaming oriented. Jacob's channel is, but it's Jacob's project after all. But more important, support Ray at South Texas Border Sports and his content. Support Costless Titans content on YouTube. Like their videos. Comment on them. Share them with friends and family. All of that accumulates and helps his content be viewed more favorably by the YouTube algorithm. And once the YouTube algorithm views your content favorably, it'll share it with more people that have similar interests to our audience, which means that more Toros fans that not necessarily not know that there's coverage, outside of the TV stations, are going to see our content, whether it's down in the valley, whether it's
Even with
costless.
the USL Championship groups that there are on Facebook, Twitter communities, uh, I mean, even on Instagram, I mean, just make everything shareable through the platforms, so that we can have a better exposure of what RGV goes through from their point of view.
Exactly. So just do me a huge favor, guys, about that. Support all of our Toros content creators, and even Shadow Wolf with the Gringo podcast as well. Any kind of content that is Toros related, let's try to support it. Let's try to interact with it, so that way it'll be shared by more people. But guys, we thank you so much once again. Follow us at Down in the RGV, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and on TikTok. Follow me on my personal account at Ochoa_8 on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and Threads. Even though I haven't posted anything on Threads, but that's neither here nor there.
Definitely
Um,
check.
yeah, yeah, it was DOA, I think. Poor Threads, but guys, yeah, follow me right there. If you guys want to listen to me ramble about soccer, especially Toros, Houston Dynamo, Houston Dash, Tigres, Real Madrid, NASCAR, of course. NASCAR is going into the playoffs, so I'm going to be a little bit active on that aspect. Go Ross Chastain. Um, but yeah, follow us, interact with us, and let's keep growing this beautiful Down in the Valley community, this Toros community, and hopefully we can at least show ownership that there is a dedicated fan base out there that really loves and cares for this team and wants the best out of this team in all aspects, right? So thank y'all for your attention. We'll see y'all next week. Should hopefully be Wednesday now, because there's not going to be a weekend game, and hopefully Jacob will be 100% fit by that time. Ray, thank you for hopping on. We'll see each
Thank
other
you.
next Wednesday on another episode of the Down in the Valley podcast. Have a good night.